Welcome back to Twisted Builds podcast with your hosts Dale and Kevin. How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
It's been a week. It's been a couple
Yep,
weeks, but we're
been a
there.
couple weeks.
For our listeners, we tried to do this last week and then I had a storm come in which
hmm
made my internet speed just tank and
hmm
we ended up canceling this. So,
Well,
we're
your internet speed's better today because your picture's coming through really clear. It's not like it's
good.
bloggy. So
Good. And this I'm on the web camera currently. I'm actually
cool.
I was going to talk to you about this before the podcast, but we'll just share it with everyone.
Mhm.
This is the main camera I use for making my YouTube videos, which I have neglected, but
Mhm.
besides the podcast videos. But regardless, I'm thinking I'm going to make a stand for this on the laptop I'm using currently.
Gotcha.
That way it'll stand
I
there and it'll be a little bit higher
I
quality.
have one of the newer generation GoPros, and it is in my truck in the carrying case that it came in. And I bought
Okay.
it about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer, and I don't think I've used it once. So I might rig that up for a better camera.
Nice.
Do like some
That'll
4K
work.
or whatever.
Yeah. So, um, bring podcast people up to first off, if you're listening to the podcast, thank you for listening. I just found out today one of my coworkers listens. So,
Oh, that's
thank
well,
you.
that's good and bad.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Chris is one of the coworkers I just found out. I think he works in sales, I think, or is BDC or something. I'm not totally sure. So, and he complimented both of us, and I do very bad with compliments in person. So don't
You
take
just
anything
being
I
all
said
awkward.
personally. Yeah, it's not. I'm just not used to it. Definitely, like I was in the mindset of repairing a vehicle, and he's like, "Oh, I heard the podcast," and that just completely like threw me off the loop. So anyway, thanks for all of our listeners.
hmm
We were here having fun, and this is a good time. So, um, I guess I'll start off with another deal. We were talking about the harness for the Firebird.
Okay.
I'll insert some photos into the YouTube. If you are listening on any of your, if you're an audio based listener, we do post these on my YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Twisted Builds, on YouTube. I'll post a link in the description below as well. And the photos of this will be, the photos of my wiring harness, and this will be on the YouTube as well. But as we were talking about prior, I have been making a wiring harness for my Firebird, both the transmission and engine harness, which I got the firewall to engine and transmission side done. And I am actively working on the interior side, pretty much
hmm
where the firewall is, into the inside of the car. And I wanted to, this is an identical replica of how the holes are cut out in my firewall. So it's the same
Okay.
spacing, it's the same plane. And my thought process here is I can put the pins in and loom this in the exact same area that this is going to reside in, so I can make it all nice and pretty and make it all
hmm
fancy. But
you can have everything flow where it needs to, and
exactly,
yeah.
exactly, that's the plan. So yeah, I actually ended up ordering another P59 from Cody. So I can't remember Cody's last name. If you listen to this, I apologize. I think his name's Cody Rose. But he has a couple P59, so I got one from him that has IAC drivers. I've got a
hmm
PO1 I was going to steal the IAC drivers out of to make my P59 work, but it's
hmm
my only
So
PO1 that I've got.
so
So
which one of those ECUs is there a P59 that does not have the IAC drivers? Because I think
I've
the
got
one
two
that's
of them.
current. Matt Happel. So I think he did a video a few years ago
He did.
of swapping the IAC driver over, and he wasn't sure if it was going to work. I did that on my truck, so I verify that it works. So
It does
if you
work.
yeah, it works 100%. So all you got to do is resolder that in, and it worked fine. And it's in my truck. It's been in my truck for like the last 2.5 years.
Nice. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
fully planning on doing that. This is a convenience and lazy fee.
hmm
I have so much other stuff going
well,
on. I'm
I
like,
was
you
I
know
was
what? I will spend the money just to get one that has it and just
it,
go.
it was a convenience for me at the time just to go ahead and swap them in instead of sourcing another ECU or spending the money on the
Gotcha.
credits to unlock it. And I was like, oh, I'll get one because the solder looks atrocious in there. But nothing touched itself.
It
So
works.
like all the connections were separate. My soldering, it's good when I want it to be, and it wasn't. I didn't want it to be at that time. I just wanted it to work. Uh,
Gotcha.
and then the plan was to get an actual P59 with the drivers already in it and all that later on down the line, and I haven't needed to. So it's
Okay.
just it's like what is like the mechanics drive junky cars because they know what they can get away with, and I know that it's
Yes.
still working for me, and I'm not going to
Yep.
replace it if it's not broken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When it
Yeah.
starts failing on me from a crappy solder job, I'll throw a better ECU in there.
Yeah. And I was wholeheartedly I was going to do that. I was going to just desolder the PO1, put it on the P59 and go cuz it works, and obviously you've checked it and it works. But
Hmm.
I've got so much stuff going on that, and we're going to talk about it in the podcast, but I've got so much stuff going on that's like, you know what? He charged me $50. I tipped him an extra five. So it's $55 for not having to put time into that. Just grab it, program it, and go. I was like,
Hmm.
that's worth it. That's
Yeah.
worth it. And I could like, if I would love to see if I could source those chips, even if I can make something work. Because like
Hmm.
I have obviously, I have the ability to make my own PCB boards and everything. If I could do a drop-in card on those, that
Oh
would
yeah.
add the functionality. Because like they might not make the IAC drivers themselves anymore, but
Hmm.
if I could, I wouldn't say copy it, but make something else that would work the exact same way,
Hmm.
that would allow people, because the drive-by-wire P59s are everywhere and no one
Yeah.
wants them because everyone's
Yep.
still using drive-by cable, because the GM drive-by-wire stuff was very safe. However, in a performance environment, it doesn't do what we want it to do.
Very
We're
safe
all
does not mean good sports car.
exactly. So if I could figure out a way of doing that, and Cody Rose is, I don't know if I talked to you about him or not. You may already know of him. He
I've
is
heard the name float
very,
around before.
he's very, very pro open source. He's doing Delphi Duo, Delphi Dino. It's an Arduino and a P59 together. So doing like, he added like boost control and a couple other things to P59. So um he and I met from, I was giving him some information about his boost control stuff because he was working on getting it working with a Mac valve, and from the simple dollar boost stuff I knew like some of the questions, I had the answers to some of the questions he had, so that's how we met. But very, very smart dude when it comes to that stuff. And anyway, he, as I said, he buys a whole bunch of them, so I just snagged one from
Hmm.
him. But um update on the P01 P59 mounts. They are getting currently made by the company I'm using. Probably
Hmm.
should keep that quiet. But
There's gonna be have people reach out and then copy it over. Uh,
yeah.
so are they doing the bending?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
All CNC. And they,
Was it was,
I haven't
was it
heard
that
anything
bad, or
else.
do they?
I haven't heard anything else, and supposedly it's already to the like deburring and powder coat phase. Is the last time I
Okay, so
checked the status.
I have not used that company. Uh, is there a way that you can, I guess, follow and track as it gets
Yes.
manufactured? Okay, cool. That's
Yes.
nice.
Think of it like a
Do they send you
shipping,
pictures like
like
an
a.
update?
Think of it. Well, I wouldn't say I didn't get photos, but
Okay.
it's think of it like a shipping tracker, kind of like,
Okay.
with UPS or whatever. You click a link and it'll show you where in production that thing's at. So
Nice.
I would love to see photos of it, but
Hmm.
I ordered 10 of them. We'll see when they come
Oh,
in.
well, I'll be one of the first orderers. I'll tell you that much. Along with, so before we came on here, I was kind of scrolling through the merch on the website,
Mhm.
and I did not
Which I
realize
need to
that
get more.
I did not
Uh,
realize that there were coffee mugs. So I'm going to pick up one or two of those because I absolutely need a Twisted Builds coffee
Yes.
mug.
Uh, yes. But yeah, coffee mugs. I want to get I think I've got beanies on there.
Yes.
I've
Yep.
got a hat which I'm not wearing. I normally
You got
wear for
two
the
hats.
podcast.
You
I
got the
didn't.
snapback and then the trucker.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
I want to add more merch to the website. So if anyone's listening, I have merch on the website,
Yeah. By the way,
twistabuilds.com.
follow the
Go,
link in the
yeah,
description or wherever it's
I'll
at.
put a link in the description. But yes, I have merch. I want to add more to it. I want to, and maybe that's something you and I could work on, getting some like clever sayings and stuff on
Mhm.
shirts and whatnot with the
Yeah.
Twisted Builds
I
logo.
want to throw
I've
out
had
some
a couple.
coasters too. That'd be some nice engraved coasters.
I That would be cool. That
Yeah.
would be awesome to go with the coffee mug.
Yes.
That would be very cool. But yes, so I've got this stuff coming. I did we talk about the design for the NV3500 blast shield? I know I'm just running with
Yes. Yes.
topics.
So you've sent
On
me
the
the
last,
pictures. We've talked about it
well,
back and forth.
did we talk about it on the podcast?
No.
Okay.
No, it was in a
I'll
subject for us to talk about now.
okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going through that now. If anyone's watching, I'm going through our. We actually have a Discord, and then if anyone wants to be a part of the Twisted Builds Discord, reach out to me or Kevin. We'll get you on there. Um, but yes, so I don't know where I put those photos. Anyway, I designed a blast shield for my NV3500.
I like that term blast shield, by the way.
It's a blast shield. So it's technically
Foot saver
yeah.
9,000.
The transmission, if you want to get super technical, the transmission's actually HM290. It's the early version of the MV3500. A lot of parts do interchange, some of them don't. This is a 3-shift rail deal where the MV3500 was a 1-shift rail. So, but some of the gears and stuff like the physical shafts are the same, so on and so forth. Regardless, this shield would fit an MV3500 or my HM290. And it's for the S10, which you know, but for our listeners, it's for the S10 because I'm going to hit that thing with probably close to 800 horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going
You
to
just
be
want
a
something to
lot
work.
of, yeah, and it's going to be a lot of like stopping the drive shaft instantly with the handbrake and then dumping the clutch to get the tires to spin again. And it's going to shock load the snot out of that transmission. So I'll insert a photo here for our YouTube viewers. I used the 3D scanning equipment that I have, scanned the transmission, and designed a blast shield around it. So it's going to be 1/8 inch thick steel. So it's going to have a little bit of weight to it, but most of it is going to be bendable and whatnot by the same company that's making my PCM mounts. So
So
this is just 3D printed
I
one.
did notice that design. It was very triangular. There was a lot of triangles built on triangles built on triangles.
That's the
Did you
bends.
simplify it up any, or is it going?
That's
Okay,
it's
is that
that
going to
way
be able to
because
bend that many
I
directions?
already ran it through their program. They'll be able to bend it.
Oh, I didn't know they had a program. Okay,
Yes. So you can
nice.
go on there, you can go on the company's website, and I'm not going to say the company's name. I don't know if they want to be associated with the podcast or anything, but I'm sure most anyone listening to this probably already knows the company I'm talking about. Regardless, yes, you can go on their website, you can upload a DXF file, and then you can tell it the bends, and it has a 3D viewer of what it should look like when you're done
Okay,
on
that
their
is
website.
nifty. I didn't realize they did
Yes.
that, but that is nifty.
Yes.
I'll be
And
using them some more.
the reason oh, I love that. I mean, if this comes out well, it's going to get used a lot. But the way it's triangulated is because it's a cone because of the transmission bell housing back. It's like conular, I would say. Think of it kind of like an ice cream cone. So that's why the bends are triangulated instead of straight, is because that's 4 pieces long. So you have the bigger piece by the bell housing, and then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. But it's 4 big pieces that get welded together. Then it's just like the mounting tabs and a couple extra plates that I couldn't put a part of the bend file. But it's
Okay.
13 total pieces, and that's it.
Okay.
So it's not like some people are like, wow, it's 13 pieces. Like for what I'm doing, that's not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it'll be mounted to the mounting bolts for the front of the transmission going towards the motor. And I'll have the HM290 has 2 mounts for what would have been like a torque arm type deal. I'm using the top bolt mount through the tail shaft housing to mount the rear of the blast shield.
Yep.
So, and it goes halfway around it. Theory is if it doesn't stop it, which it should, like I did something similar back when I was tractor pulling. Now, mind you, that's a lot less power, but if it doesn't stop it, it's gonna slow it down significantly because then it's got just another layer of protection. No
You,
one
you need
makes a
you, you need to
sorry.
get some like AR 500 and really make it,
They would
literally
do
bulletproof.
that. They would do that. I've thought about it. I might. I don't know. I
Or
gotta.
hey, is there a
So
place that
here's
you can
here's
do like a Kevlar blanket over the top, or
so I would have
just
to
in
look into
case to
that because
catch
I'm not
some
sure.
shrapnel? Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Is the AR 500 weldable though? I figured that would take some
I
of the
know AR
tinkering out
400
of
is because we weld the AR 400 at work quite often.
it. Okay. So I might look because that is a steel they do offer as their service.
Hmm.
So and their bending service. So I may look into that. Because it's not a price issue. Like I'm gonna pay whatever it takes to do it. And even like
Well,
the one I had out
potentially
of
save your
model
life. So, I mean, you
exactly.
don't want a femoral artery getting let loose from a
Exactly.
transmission part. Yeah.
Exactly. So like I priced out with regular steel and it was very affordable,
Hmm.
even with the bending. So I'll probably bump it up whenever I get to that point with the S10 project. And I actually pull the trigger on ordering that those pieces to weld together. I'll probably bump it up to like again AR 400, 500, whatever I can find.
Hmm.
I just like before I so 400 is weldable. I'd have to look and see if the 500 is weldable because I would do it if it's
Hmm.
a weldable material and like I'm not degrading the material by welding it together, if that makes sense. So, because again, my legs, I like my legs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They come in handy. I use them every day.
They- yes. I'd like to be able to dump clutches more often. So, your shed got delivered finally.
Shed.
Shed.
So,
Sorry.
laser beams,
Building.
a quotation for those people that not listen to the quotation. Laser beam.
Sorry.
It's
The
gonna
shop.
be a mini machine shop, mini metal
Yeah.
workshop. But yeah, it's a shed, but it's old oil filled doghouse, and it got delivered finally. So it
I'll
wasn't
be
delivered the
inserting
last time.
photos here.
It wasn't delivered the last time we did a podcast, was it? No,
No.
because the last time we set up, we were going to do it, and the rainstorm happened. I was
Yes.
actually going to set up and do the podcast inside the building. I have not washed it all out yet, but I have cleaned that sucker from top to bottom, swept and everything besides actually scrub with soapy water, which is next. But yeah, it finally got delivered. I called the tow truck company. Was it last Friday? Was it last Friday or was it the
I think so.
Friday of the week before that? I cannot remember. My memory is shit. Anyway, I called them, which was 3 weeks from the last time their truck broke down. And this
Mm-hmm.
was while I was trying to get it. Uh, I was like, hey, did you get your semi truck fixed yet? It's been about 3 weeks. And the lady on the phone was like, yes and no. I was like, well, what do you mean, yes and no? She's like, well, our truck's fixed, but we don't have a driver. The driver, who's the one with the CDL that can drive the semi in the trailer to be able to haul it to you, his wife unfortunately ended up passing away. I was like, okay, well, at this point, take as
Yep.
much time as you need. I'm not into to rushing somebody that has a family emergency like that. Not even really an emergency, but a long process that you have to get through. Uh, it turned out the 4th of July, the morning of the 4th of July. So I made the call the Friday beforehand. The morning on the 4th of July, I get a call from the tow company and from the driver saying he just wants to get back to work. He wants to take his mind off of things. He's willing to
Yep.
deliver it that morning. And he was sitting in front of the lady's house in order to pick it up. I was like, well, I wish you would have given me a little bit better notice considering this is the 4th of July and it's the morning and I was running errands and I was trying to get some hot dogs and pick up some
Yep.
fireworks and some other stuff. I said, I'll be there in about 30, 35 minutes though. So I booked it on down there. We ended up loading it up on the semi truck and then dumping it out at my land. And there's after cleaning everything out of it, which if you can throw a picture of the inside now, it looks so much better than with it sitting out at the other bit of land. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I dumped probably 9 or 10 full wheelbarrows full of just junk in there, and it didn't smell too bad. Thankfully, a lot of the junk was some rat's nest or mouse nests, and they used pine needles. So thankfully, while I was cleaning a lot of this out, it was just like a fresh pine sol scent just from the pine needles. So
Oh, geez.
thankfully, it wasn't that yeah, it wasn't that bad. Um, when I got everything cleaned out, there's some more rust that I didn't see with it sitting in the weeds before I picked it up. So I
Yeah.
am going to have to order a large kind of sheet of sheet metal and do some patching around some of the outside bottom where it was sunk into the mud.
Okay.
But overall, it's really solid. I'm impressed. I looked through after taking everything out of it. I looked through the wiring. It's set up for 240. It's got multiple 240 plugs all through it. Uh,
Nice.
it's got some really nice wiring, some really nice lights on the inside, and I'm just going to keep adding to it. I have to wait about 2 months. They could not deliver. with the semi truck to my shop property, which is the 5 acres next door to me,
Okay.
because my driveway is too steep. I just cleared it all out with some skid steers, and it's not graveled. And they did not want to take the semi truck up a steep grade with pretty
Yeah.
much just soft sand. He said the moment he got his truck in there, it was going to end up sinking. So he dumped it in the front yard of my house property. Um, so it's sitting there for about 2 months until I can bring in a gravel driveway on the
Hmm.
shop property, and then
Nice.
it's going to sit permanently. And once it sits permanently, I'm going to do some painting and then add some lean-tos on the side of it and kind of build it all out.
Nice. That's gonna be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
You're gonna put all the lathe and stuff in there, right?
I measured, yes. So my small lathe, not my large lathe, because I have a 13 by 40 Colchester, and I also have a massive, massive LeBlond. And
Okay.
I think we've posted up pictures of that before. Anyway, I had that delivered with like an F450 or F550, and when he dumped it off the wrecker, it had the wheels of that front of that truck like 3-4 feet in the air.
Oh, geez.
So that thing's heavy, and that's going to be my dedicated outside lathe. It's going to be kind of like covered on 3 or 4 sides, not air conditioned or nothing, but it's kind of going to
Okay.
be outside. It's not going to be my precise lathe, but only kind of used for larger stuff if I want to do some drums or some turning on some axles or such like that. But
Nice.
my small lathe is going to go inside along with my drill press. I measured the width of everything, and I'm within like a half an inch of being able to puzzle piece the stuff in there.
Okay.
But it's gonna Tetris in there nicely.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
That is awesome. That is it's good. So, does it have enough windows in it for like box fans or something to get some airflow? Because I imagine that's
So,
gonna be
oh,
hot.
I know I'm putting a split unit in there, if not two,
Okay.
maybe more than that. So I'm going to use, I think, the Mister Cool split unit,
Okay.
and the inside. I don't want to say framing of the building because the walls are so thick. I think it's like quarter-inch sheet, if not thicker, all the way, or
Okay.
quarter-inch plate. Yeah, it's thick. It's a thick
Yeah.
boy, which it's going to double as like my tornado shelter up here because I'm on the top of a
Yeah.
hill. Can see 360-degree around me. When one comes through, I'm very, very scared. Uh, so it's doubling as my tornado shelter. Um,
Now I'm
it's thick
assuming
enough.
you'd be able to like to stake that down with some like industrial staking or something.
I'm actually going to
Is it
mount it
so
to a
heavy?
concrete pad. I'm going
That
to
would work.
me and my buddy Jonathan. We're going to probably do like a third slab pour. So we're going to do like a
Okay.
third of the slab, and then probably the next week a third of the slab, and then probably next week to finish the third, just to get the link through. And I'm probably going to end up physically securing it to the
Mounting
slab.
it to that
And
pad.
that helps too because I don't have electricity on my shop property yet, even though the poles
Yep.
are on my property. I have
Okay.
not had a transformer hung on my property, on that shop property. And the moment I have a permanent structure on a concrete pad, they'll give me a large credit to run electricity, hang a transformer,
Gotcha.
and run it out to my building.
So that
So
makes
that
sense.
yeah, that's
That
kind
all
of
makes
like
sense.
a bonus. If I pay for the
Yep.
concrete foundation, they give me a few thousand in credit to run electricity to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And that'll power. I'm assuming it should be three phase for some of the
No,
machines or
no. So we only have just the regular 240 single phase here. It's going to cost a lot to bring out a third leg,
yeah,
quite a bit. So the small lathe I have on right now, it is a 3 phase motor, but I have the single phase to 3 phase VFD.
VHD,
Yeah.
VFD.
Yep. Yep. So I have, we've talked about them previously in the podcast. This was kind of a cheaper Chinesium made model. And I don't really know if it's
But
made in like China or Taiwan, but the options in
if it
that thing
works.
for ramp up time and deceleration time. And it does, braking. If you have braking resistors for these
Mhm.
3 phase motors, like it's got 10 times the amount of features I'll ever use for it. So that's how I'm going to end up
Nice.
powering up my lathe. And
Okay.
yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'll work. So going through some more subjects once I unlock my phone again. Um, you and your kids went to see some very. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Some very cool planes.
Yeah, so
So
Tinker Air Force Base here in Oklahoma, they did their air show. I think this is the first time they brought it back after I think 4 years, right
okay.
around the sickness situation time.
Yes,
Um, they stopped doing it, and this is the first time they brought it back after that, to my knowledge. And they went all out. Just the
I
pictures you
could
saw was
see.
just was nothing compared to what was
And
actually there.
I will post the two photos on the video here, but
Yeah. So yeah,
the
they had the F
yeah,
22 out that you could just walk around, literally walk up to and touch, and then they
I'm
had
shocked.
yeah, same here, same here, and they had the two F-35s behind gated security with 3 or 4
Which
SUVs and like 4 security per SUV in there,
yeah,
like fully geared up, sitting in the AC, waiting for something to happen to protect these F-35s. I'm like, well, why aren't you doing that with F-22?
yeah, because like I understand the F-35 is like a supercomputer on a plane
hmm
to the extreme,
Yeah,
but like
and
the F-20, like there's nothing that'll
it
compare to the F-22.
look
Like
at the look at yeah, oh yeah, seriously, look at the photo though of the F-35s with the SUVs in the background. You can kind of see these like I wouldn't call them half pipes, like quarter pipes, and
okay,
they're like these steel structures, and I don't know
yes, I
what
see
they
'em.
are. Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I've seen those in the past when my dad has taken me to that Air Force base
Mhm.
for some air shows, or when he used to work there a long, long, long time ago. I've seen those before, and if you look at them, you can start see it looks like TV static when you're looking at them. So I don't
Yes,
know
it
if that's
does.
some sort of like radar, or when you look at it in person, you can physically see like a mirage of TV static, and you don't even
Yeah.
have to be far away, like it's some sort of heat effect.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's some sort of thing to keep radar from or
Hitting them.
pictures from doing some sort of scan on these
Yeah.
aircraft. But yeah, those are some cool things.
Yes.
I almost
Yes,
found that
they are.
as cool as I did the actual airplanes
I,
themselves.
I,
The air show was
I,
awesome though. Like we stuck through probably about 3 quarters of the air show. We didn't get to see the Blue Angels, even though the Blue Angels were out there. We saw the planes on the
okay.
ground. We didn't get to see them take off and do any of the tricks or nothing. We were there for hours upon hours, and it was
Mm-hmm.
killing us with the sun and the heat. And I went
With the
out there
heat.
with Jonathan,
Okay.
and his girl's pregnant, and she's
Yes.
quite pregnant and quite far along. So there was frequent shade breaks and $10
Gotcha.
smoothies to cool down. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was free entry, but they made it up on the
Yep.
back end for those food and drinks. I can tell you that much.
Well, Jonathan, if you're listening to this, we want you back on at some point. I
Yes,
understand
yes,
if it's going to be a while after the kid is born, but we still want you
hmm
back at some point.
yeah,
So, next subject. I don't even know if I put this on there. Uh, I think I canbus stuff. So, a
hmm
canbus update for our listeners.
okay,
I am. Me and Sky have started in on a mix of software and hardware on the next canbus logger, like farthering it. Um, I what all can I talk about that? Three networks. One's gonna be FD. Two's gonna be regular CAN bus. I think I said that in the last episode. Got most of the circuitry for the PCB board finalized. I got to finish up the 3D modeling of it and what kind of case I'm gonna have it in. It's gonna be. I'm dropping the amp clamp for now. I think it's just gonna be too much for what we're got going on right now. Might come on a future revision, but for right now, this is just gonna be a can logger. But we're working on pretty much working on the design. We've got. I found a switch. I found a switch finally that is a nice on and like it's an on off switch. So you'll hold it on, it'll detent on, and you'll hit it again, the detent off with an
okay,
LED indicator stating that's logging. And yeah, so we're working on that. I'm gonna order units for him and I for both bench testing and like production rigs. The bench test ones will be like programmed to be simulating CAN bus networks, and I'll be tested on real cars eventually. But
hmm
like I can even my thought is I can grab one of them, record an actual car, and just play the recording back as we develop the software and stuff for it.
hmm
Simple executable software. We find I need to send you a copy of the alpha version of the Arduino based version because like stuff I can talk about like we're moving to the Teensy network or the Teensy controller because the Mega Squirt or sorry not Mega Squirt the Arduino Mega controller isn't fast enough for the FD networks.
okay,
So I had to move over to that for to a Teensy board. But I've thought about because it would be really, really simple. I've really thought about bringing just a regular 2.0B network logger that is just small and simple and just works, because I've got a couple out in field right now. I used the one I made, which is the same concept with this software that we kind of finalized for the slower stuff. The slower stuff, 21 RAM, that one I worked on with FSD. Um, like it would do those networks without a problem, which would support almost everything in the automotive aftermarket right now for like your Holly, your Mega Square, all that stuff works on 2.0B. It's not on the high
Mhm.
speed networks, like the super high speed network yet.
So you're
So,
trying to get
and
like one ahead on all that for
one
the
ahead as
higher
in,
the higher
yes.
speed stuff. Mhm.
Well, all the modern cars, so all the way up to 20, the new models come out, which is 2024. They have FD CAN networks, which are a lot faster, and that's what we're going to. So I'm trying to future proof the product
Mhm.
and have it ready to go for that. And I won't be the first one in the market space. I'll be the first one in the market space that is 100% geared towards automotive.
Okay.
Most of these are geared towards industrial solutions, and
Mhm.
FE is not a real big thing in industrial yet. And again, like you have to, like, I'm a computer nerd, but you really have to be a computer nerd to make those things make sense. So because I've
We use
tested the demo
some
software of them.
some canbus stuff at my job on some of the industrial stuff.
Now, do you know
Not
what
too
speed is?
much. No,
No,
I do not know what speed. So I can
okay.
find out.
I'm kind of curious. It's
Yeah.
probably the 2.0A or B standard.
Mhm.
So it'll be
I can
either
ask.
CANbus
They'll tell me.
2.0A or CANbus 2. I would love to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the FD stuff, I think a lot of it's like medical industry is like the equipment for that. And obviously we're using it in the automotive space on the new stuff. So even like that 21 RAM didn't have it, 22 did. So 22 and beyond had FD networking. And it's like it's where we're going. If you want to do integration for off-road use only vehicles, like we talked about in the past, like you're gonna have to bump up your game to the FD networks, and that's why I'm trying to get like this unit set up so that way customers can grab it, log with it. It's automotive based, so that way for like the layman automotive person's gonna understand what's going
Mhm.
on and get geared the training material towards that as well, and make it budget friendly. That's I'm gonna make it budget minded. So
Okay.
it's not going to be the cheapest thing on earth by any means. The Arduino Mega one I've really thought about doing. Like that'll probably be budget friendly because that's going to
Mhm.
take nothing to put together. So and the software's already made. Like Sky and I
Mhm.
made like Sky. I shouldn't say Sky and I. I did have some like I made the first version of it on my own, and then he took my concept and kind of ran with it, and it's great software. It like what he and I like the final version of it came out perfect. So I've been using it. We some things I can talk about. I'm working. I've got one deployed in Ohio, and I got one deployed in Massachusetts. I haven't used either of them in the field yet because they're still getting kind of ready for both of them.
Mhm.
One's going to be on a Toyota Supra for the drift community.
Ooh.
So, yeah, talking to a guy about, and this would be a Twisted Builds product.
Mhm.
We're gonna be most likely making a headlamp controller for these things because these guys take every single electrical component that is on those cars and yeets
Out.
them
Yeah.
out.
In a pile in
So
the garage.
exactly. And everything's aftermarket. The problem with that is there the entire headlight assembly on the new Toyota Supras. So the BMW, I don't remember what the BMW is version of it, but it's the BMW slash Toyota Supra.
Mhm.
They are all LED. The whole headlight, turn signal, everything's LED. So if you leave the controller intact, they have a headlight controller bolted to the I think the bottom of them, and they have 4 wires: power, ground, and CAN, and that runs it all. Turn
Mhm.
signal, high beam, low beam, cornering lamps, daytime running lamps, whole shebang. So
Mhm.
he if you're listening to this, a different Chris, hello. He has got another vehicle that we're going to test on. I deployed one of my really like that doesn't it's not pretty but works units. I shipped it out to him. We're going to be working on that as well. So that will be a Twisted Builds product coming out. Will be a headlamp controller for Toyota Supra for the drift community.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're working on it actively.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited. That and I've got some other stuff going on that I don't want to talk about right now because I'm not sure like the other stuff if I'm allowed to talk about yet or not. But
Mm-hmm.
got a lot. So again, like the stuff I'm working with the 3D scanning, then you and I need to talk after we get done recording. And for our listeners, we are bringing the design plans to the Twisted Builds website for sale for the material racks.
Yes.
I believe
Yeah.
you got them
No. So
done.
that's the moment I sent you over or sent over onto the drive the blueprints and like the full packet, with the exception of like a weld assembly manual.
Mhm.
It's been out of my mind. So I'm like, okay, well that's done. So I'm like, I completely forgot about it until you
Yep.
said it just now.
We've got to talk about it a little bit after the podcast, and we will mention on the podcast when that is up on Twisted Build's website for sale.
Hmm.
The plans look awesome. The whole design looks
Yeah.
great. So, and it's gonna be
It's
perfect
very
for.
simple, and it's gonna, yeah,
It's
it's
very
gonna really
simple.
gonna be really gonna work
It's
toward
really
somebody just to weld it together yourself. It's
yes.
a DIY kit.
Yep, it's a DIY kit for material handling rack. It's gonna be geared towards fab shops, I would say for sure, but
Yes.
fabrication shops and stuff of the sort. Where if
Hmm.
you're stocking a bunch of like DOM tubing or square tubing or flat
Hmm.
stock or angle iron or stuff, and you're getting the
You don't
whole
want it leaning
thing
up against a corner in your garage, or you
exactly,
don't want it
and you're
laying
trying
on
to
the
save some
floor. You
space.
got
Yep,
rainwater coming in your garage door and rusting stuff out on
it
the
gets it.
ground. You don't want to. Yeah,
It's
it really gets it off the ground, and
it
the
gets it off
amount
the
of
ground.
shelves that it's on, that
Plus,
it's going to be good.
then you're not bending like down to the ground to pick up this heavy metal and stuff, and it's
Hmm.
it's just going to work well for the businesses that buy them. And again, they're plans,
Hmm.
but they are very well designed plans.
Hmm.
It looks great. So we will have those on the Twisted Builds website for sale. Um, Hopefully within the next week or two, it would be my
Hmm.
goal. Again, due to scheduling, I'm gonna try to get that hammered out as quick as
That
possible.
will
But
absolutely be my goal now that it's fresh in the mind. Like I said, it completely left the moment that I put those
yeah,
plans up on the drive for you to verify.
yep.
So now that it's
I
fresh, it will
downloaded them. I
definitely
looked
probably
at
be
them.
within the next week.
Our listeners are hearing as we talk about this, but yes, I
Yeah.
downloaded them and looked at them, and they look great. So,
Hmm.
but yes, so that's coming. We also have some other stuff coming, plan wise and kit wise. I think we talked about it on the
Yes.
podcast.
Yep.
That's up to you if you want to talk about it or not.
No. No.
Um,
Yeah. Absolutely. Are we talking about the engine run
the,
stand?
the engine run stand.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we've got plans coming for a
We have been
universal
doing
style engine run
revisions and
stand.
revisions and revisions on
Yes,
that. So it is coming out every time that we touch the model.
yes. So we are going to be bringing that to market as well.
Hmm.
DIY kit and like a design kit, just kind of like the design plans for these material racks. And then I think we are planning on shipping a kit that
Yes.
you can weld together.
An
So
actual kit. Yes.
yes.
Of
So
both. Of
we are
both. So like
bolt and weld
yeah.
together. Yes.
Yeah, so the material rack is going to
Sorry.
be like a weld
Well,
together.
yes.
The engine run stand, because I think that's what we decided. We ran through a few options. We thought the material rack could work as a weld together or bolt together, and we really don't.
You're
If
going to
you're
it's
buying
going to
one, you're going
fab
to have a
shop.
welder.
Yes.
So you're going to need to have it to do some welding.
Yep.
So
And
why
we'll
not
make
just
sure
weld
we
it
put.
together yourself?
I will make sure that is on the description of it. And I believe the engine cart, the engine stand, the engine run stand. Sorry, it's been a
Mhm.
long week, people. So just so you understand. But the engine run stand, we're gonna be doing both a bolt and a weld kit together kit, or
If
what's
you want to, I thought we were going to go to like a full assembly kit, like everything you need in one kit. I don't
Yep.
think we can if we want to. I can run through. So sorry, my mind's going like 1,000 miles a
You're
minute right
fine.
now that I'm thinking about it, and I have the whole picture in my head. Um, if we want to, we can kind of produce like a cheaper kit to where you source some of the materials yourself, like the casters or some of the
Yep.
hardware. But I know for sure we're going to offer like a full encompassed kit on that. So that comes with every
Yes.
nut, bolt, piece of hardware, every caster, like I said, down to the nut and bolt.
Awesome.
Possibly even have a powder coated kit fully ready to go and finished. That way you can
Okay.
open up a box, unpack it, put it together, and it looks pristine.
Yep.
Hmm.
So that stuff is coming for our listeners and our viewers. That stuff is coming, but we both have very, very
It,
busy lives.
yeah, if you want to, go ahead and throw up a picture on the podcast of the engine run stand. I'll send you
Will
over a
do.
screenshot of the
Yep.
model, just so people can visualize that. It looks so
And
beautiful.
yeah, and the way you designed it, and I had a little bit of input in this one as well.
Hmm.
We are doing it for the engine mount plates will be interchangeable. So like
Yes.
if like LS, small block Chevy, small block Ford, and like we could even we're gonna offer, I'm guessing, design like the same thing as the material racks, where we'll give you the centers and stuff to where if you want to make your own engine mount, like maybe a universal deal that you can just drill holes in the mount to whatever engine you're
Hmm.
going to, you can do that. We have the mounts on adjustable rod ends, so that
Yes.
way you can
They not
run the
only
rod
pivot,
end,
they can also
they
extend and
extend
retract.
in
So
and out.
so
Yep.
yeah.
So
So
that
it's
way
going to
you
fit a
can,
number of engines, including the straight six. So the 4.2 Vortec, it's going to work with
yes.
that as well. Yeah.
Yes, and it'll allow you to pretty much put the engine on the stand and run it. It's got a gauge mount, and you'll see this in the photo I'm gonna put
Mm-hmm.
on the YouTube channel or on the YouTube video. Um, it'll have a stand for or a mount for like a tack and a fuel
Mm-hmm.
level gauge and oil pressure or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Not maybe
And
fuel
it's got
level,
a
but you know what I
not
mean.
really a basket, but a tray at the bottom. And we
Yep.
may kind of include some, we may not. It depends. We'll have to talk some more about it, like a dedicated battery box, a power
Yes.
module, a fuel cell. Um,
Yep.
it's
Exactly.
really going to be an all-in-one tour, something to where if you want to build a beautiful engine and have it like essentially a show engine to take out to shows, you can wheel it off a trailer and fire it up for people. And I
Yes.
know that
Exactly.
that's a big thing in kind of the older car communities, to where you
Hmm.
just build something with every head of every nut and bolt is polished up and
Yes.
spit shined. So this is going to be something that matches a quality of a really nice engine, to where you can take it out to a show on the stand, fire it up, get people excited about a build you're doing.
Yes. Yes. And we're also talking about eventually maybe setting the same stand up for dyno use.
Yes, yeah,
But
we've thrown around
again,
some ideas
that's
on how to adapt it.
yeah, we're the stuff's coming. So
Mhm. Did happen upon a tractor dozer this last weekend. That's how I ended up turning my trailer into a nice dovetail slash tilt
oh
bed.
geez. Okay. Oh yeah, I saw that one. The dovetailed thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, I don't know if you knew how that happened then, but yeah,
you bent it.
yeah. Well,
Wow.
it's just like I was.
Wow.
So anyway, the whole full story. There's
Yes.
this lady. She had some issues with some property taxes. She has some stuff on her property. She was trying to either take care of her property taxes or sell her property and sell some of the material to
Hmm.
just be out from underneath it. Anyway, there was this old tractor dozer. So it's a wheel. It's technically, I guess it's called a wheeled dozer. It's a
Okay.
1961 Minneapolis Moline GVI. And
Okay.
if you're a tractor aficionado, there's a cult following for the Minneapolis Molines.
Hmm.
And this thing has a 7-liter, 425 cubic inch straight six that runs on propane. And they made three versions of these engines: a
Okay.
gasoline, a propane, and a diesel. And I guess they swapped out maybe just the pistons and the cylinder heads, and everything else is exactly the same. So
Okay.
mine is the propane version. I ended up getting this from the lady for almost nothing and about a $500 record bill to send it to my house. Um, Big old 8-foot dozer blade on the front, and I'm planning on doing a lot of dirt work, especially to my shop property, and kind of building up, maybe trying to see if I can squeeze out a small pond by
Okay.
by using it. But I picked this thing up for pretty much nothing. Uh, it is absolutely beautiful. I did some tinkering with it. I got it cranking over the other day. I cleaned out the points last night, cleaned out the distributor. I tried to get Spark on it right before the podcast, and I have not had Spark yet. The
Okay.
parts for this thing are just so dirt cheap with the different manufacturers for them. I'm just going to do a full ignition system upgrade. It's going to cost me about maybe less than $100 for just to
Yeah,
redo the entire ignition system
and
on
it'd all
this,
be new.
and it all be new. I think the
Yep.
coil's bad on it right now, and I cleaned up the distributor. I cleaned up the points. Um, it's still not getting spark, but it's so close to getting spark. And once it gets sparked, I'm going to drop probably the $400 or $500 and get a gasoline carb and convert it over to gasoline, cut out
Okay.
all the propane stuff, and then I got a very very nice dozer.
Nice.
The story on how I ended up bending my trailer with it, I did not know the weight of this thing when I got
Heavy.
there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So my trailer is just a regular utility car hauler with,
It
I
was.
think, what it still is. It bent back for like 99%. It bent back. I'll
Okay.
send you pictures of it. Well, the tractor tires on the outside of the tractor tires, they're 7 foot wide on the rears.
Okay.
The blade is 8 foot wide. My fenders, the bed of my trailer, is 7 foot wide in between the fenders. Well, I ended up having
Okay.
to take the fenders off just because one rear tire was flat on the tractor, the other one was bulging because it was low and couldn't add air to it because the Schrader valve was rotted out on it. It just literally was crumbling like nothing, like breadcrumbs when you touched
Hmm.
it. I didn't want to risk that one going fully flat. I winched it up onto my trailer before I ended up calling a wrecker, and it was just completely bottoming out. The axles touching the frame, no spring at all in the suspension on my trailer. Uh, I ran the serial number. It turns out that tractor weighs 8,300 pounds. Before it, that if that would have been it, I would have crawled it home.
Before
Before
the dozer and the
but
loaded
before the
tires.
dozer, before the loaded tires. So it
Yeah.
had two sets of wheel weights, and fully ballast that thing weighs about 12,000. The dozer blade, I found the tag on the dozer blade, and that weighs about 6.
Yeah.
So we are
Heavy.
talking 18,000 pounds I had on a 7,000 pound trailer.
Yeah,
They
that don't
it
work.
it no, it did not work, and I ended up damaging my gate pulling it off. The frame was dragging on the flat tire side,
Okay.
and it drug the mesh off of my loader gate on the trailer. So now I got to put some new steel mesh on the thing. I
Yeah.
ended up hiring a wrecker and just didn't even deal with it. Let them winch it up on their wrecker truck and then just park it in my yard for now while I get it running.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely some of
yeah.
that heavy. I
I,
understand.
I I
That's
got future plans
crazy.
for that trailer though. I liked it looking like a tilt bed, so I might chop off the back 2.5 feet, and tilt it down and make a little bit of a dovetail on that trailer now.
Okay.
So yeah,
That'd
it'd
be
be better
cool.
for cars. I'm not going to put something that heavy back on it.
Yeah. 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 I figured with the weight and what it did to the trailer, like I started looking at them like those tires are loaded. They've got to be loaded.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, yeah, the plow is you said
Putting
6?
it in my yard, it's leaking stuff right now from the ballast because they fill them full of like a
Yes.
calcium chloride. So
Something
maybe
like
and
that.
it's a calcium something solution, and it weighs super super heavy. I think 11 or
Hmm.
12 pounds a gallon. So I
Yeah.
mean it's denser than water.
Yes.
Um,
And that's a lot of it in a tire. A
yes,
lot of it.
especially a tire
That
that
big of a
big.
tire. Yeah.
The tires on that are 18.4 by 34s or
Hmm.
18.4 by 38, something like that. They're massive. They're almost as tall as me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they hold probably about 1,000, maybe 2,000 pounds a
And
piece.
I'm sure they are loaded
Mm-hmm.
to the top with that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like looking at that photo. I'm like, yeah, that's a loaded. That's those tires. It's completely loaded. Did you
Mm-hmm.
think about that before you loaded it onto your
No.
trailer?
And I
Okay.
had pictures, and I went and saw it the day before that I brought out my trailer. And I did
Okay.
measurements on it to make sure it fit in between the wheel wells. And I ended up
Mhm.
taking the fenders off my trailer, and because the tires were bulging, they were touching all four of the tires on my trailer. So I wouldn't even be able to pull forward without all four of my trailer tires rubbing on the tires of the tractor.
Oh, jeez.
So it was just not going my way one way
Not
or
gonna work.
another. And
Yeah.
that the last time we talked, I was telling you about the triple axle gooseneck that I got
Yes.
coming my way. So I'm probably going to end up picking that up here in about 2, maybe 3 weeks. Um,
Nice.
but it needs a new floor. It's got like a sheet metal steel floor on it, and like when I
Okay.
say sheet metal, I mean like thin sheet metal. And so I'm
Yeah.
probably just going to put nice thick, probably 3 inch thick, 4 inch thick oak bores on that and use that for
Okay.
hauling my heavy
There
stuff.
you go. Yeah.
I
Maybe
did
I'll
not
take
think
them.
about that when I went out there. I took pictures of it, and like I said, I went and saw it the day before. Didn't even realize it had 2 sets of wheel weights on it. Didn't even realize it had a set of wheel weights on it. I was just
Mhm.
ecstatic to get the thing at what I got it for.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be
Mhm.
cool. So they make. You were saying propane to gas conversions. I'm assuming that's just a
It's not a
carburetor.
propane to gas conversion. So those tractors were manufactured out of the factory with 3 different engines: a full propane engine, a full
Okay.
gasoline engine, and a full diesel engine. The propane engine has an actual propane tank that you refill onto the tractor. It's not one of those
Okay.
swappable ones like you do like
Yep.
forklifts. You actually refill it with liquid propane from like your house propane tank if you have a liquid tap on it.
Okay.
And I'm just not even going to deal with that because I believe the gas and the propane had the same compression ratio. I think it was like 8.5 to 1, something like that.
Okay.
I can just bolt on the carburetor onto the intake from the carbureted version, and I can get that brand new for like $400 or $500 for that carburetor to bolt on. And I'm just probably going to use the propane tank as a fuel tank and drill a hole in the top and do. Yeah,
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
even think I'm going to deal with getting the propane, getting it running on propane. I
Now,
don't have a propane tank I can go refill it from. I
yeah.
have
Now,
like 8 of those grill size tanks, but I'm not going to sit there and fill up a tractor with that.
yeah. No. But anyway, so I'm trying to think. Do you have anything else?
Let me look here. I know we ran
Because I think we
for
ran
a
through
decent
most of
amount.
those.
Let me see here.
And anyone listening, we do plan this out.
We do.
We actually have an internal Discord that we drop
Hit us up
topics
in the
on.
Discord. Get us some more
Yes,
topics going.
yes.
Yeah,
If
let's have
anyone
a
like
plethora of.
literally, if anyone wants to like talk about a subject or come on to the podcast, I'm able to invite more people than just us two to this platform. So I would be able to hook you up and we can do it remotely because me and Kevin do it remotely. So if you've got a headset of some sort with a microphone, that's all we really need. Even like I'm right now, I'm using a laptop web camera. So
Mhm.
if you are interested in coming on the podcast and talking about gearhead stuff, we will
I
get you
have
on.
someone I might be bringing on. I'm gonna reach out to them.
Okay.
So I've been following them for quite a bit. We've had some interactions on some of the live videos, and I've been a supporter of his for over a year, close to a year, something like that. So I want to see if I can reach out to him and bring him on. I'll talk to him about him
That
after.
would be awesome.
I'll talk to you about
Absolutely.
him after this episode. So the last thing I have, so the swivel cranes that you can throw in the
Yes.
back of pickup trucks or mount to
Okay.
trailers. I am trying to decide, but we might be coming with a kit of that as well.
Okay.
I thought about buying one and throwing it on my trailer just so I can have kind of one of those swivel cranes, maybe like 1,000. I want to
Mhm.
see if I can get one up to 1 ton, like a 2,000 pound with the extended boom, not just a two
Okay.
thousand pound with like the close eyelet
Retracted
for
boom.
lifting
Okay.
something into my trailer. And everybody sees the ones tucked away inside the truck bed, so you can lift up like a generator or something into the back of your truck without killing
Mhm.
your back. But we might be coming to market with one of those. I got to look at really how hard it's going to be to design it. Is it really going to be profitable? The amount of options out there that they have that are very affordable are plentiful right now. So I
Mhm.
don't know if we design one from scratch, if we're going to be able to compete after material costs, because they
Gotcha.
have some at the market that are sitting around the $400 $500 range that comes with winches.
Yeah.
So they have extendable boom
Yeah.
that come with an electric winch. Yeah, but they also use some kind of cheaper material, and they're rated for at the furthest extent of the boom, like 450 or 500 pounds, just because of how
Yeah.
thin the material is that they use. So I don't know. That's something we got to throw out there, but I might be
Okay.
designing one up or building one and mounting it to my trailer. And if I do, then I'll be sending you pictures and we can post it up on the next podcast.
That sounds good.
Yep.
That sounds good. I'm trying to think of. I thought I had something else going on too.
I think you had about two
Oh,
things left, right?
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Firebird S10. Working on the Firebird, obviously
Wiring
S10
harness, you
project.
covered that.
Wire harness.
ECU.
3D scan stuff.
That's all
Trying to
I had. That's
think.
absolutely everything that I had.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're good. Yeah, guys. If you're listening, it's been a long couple of weeks, so I'm pushing very hard on some things. I want to. Oh, have you heard about the UPS strike?
A little bit. And I actually have a story. I don't know if it's affecting FedEx any, but I had ordered some car parts for my neighbor. and I have a
Okay.
billing address and a shipping address. They're both in the same city, completely different addresses, about 35, 40 miles away from each other. They sent everything that I bought to my billing address and not my shipping address with the shipping address label on it. So I don't even know how that happened, but yeah, it showed up
Right.
with the wrong address at the wrong house, and they were confused as hell because it was my mother's old house
Okay.
as to why this package showed up that didn't even have their own address on it. It's not like you can accept it if it's like, oh, it's got our address on it, somebody else's name, they accidentally sent it to us. No, it didn't have their name, didn't have their address on it because it was my shipping address. But they sent
Yeah.
everything, yeah, good old Rock Auto. I don't know how that happened, but they shipped through FedEx. So I don't know if that UPS strike is
I,
affecting FedEx
I
any.
I've heard of people having issues with FedEx, and like FedEx has been awesome for where I've been, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just I'm lucky with it. I don't know. But anyone that is not in the know, I found out with one of my electrical components distributors, big old banner across the website. Hey, come August 1st, if nothing happens, UPS, the brown truck, is going to be going into a strike, so a union strike. I actually have a friend that works for UPS. So I messaged him directly.
Are,
I'm like, what
are
on earth is going on? Well, he's like, oh no, that's really happening. The union doesn't have a contract with UPS, and if we don't get a contract by August 1st, we are ceasing operations.
mm-hmm.
All of them, all of them. Which means all the operations that UPS is currently doing are going to get loaded on everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to make shipping a nightmare.
Isn't Amazon doing their own third party shipper stuff now to where they're shipping stuff that's not Amazon products? I
I
wonder if
don't know.
there's not some sort of play to switch some stuff over to
It
Amazon.
could
I
be.
thought I heard something about that.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that either. I just
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that. I was like, oh, yep. So and be full circle. Going back to my electrical designing stuff with the canbus stuff, I'm like, I am trying to hammer this stuff out as fast as possible to make sure I'm going to be able to get everything in, so I
To
can
ship
keep
them out
going.
and
Yes.
shipping materials in. Yep.
Well, it's not even like this is just for my proto my I'm gonna have two prototypes and Sky's getting two prototypes just so we can develop the code, both the
Mm.
software and the hardware. And I'll be getting you one once I get it finalized.
Cool.
But this is just all of us just hammering on it, and like I need four of these units and I'm trying to get it done before they go and strike, and like if things get lost in the mail or whatever else, like the
Mm-hmm.
prototypes are expensive units just because
Hey,
I'm
there's
not buying
always
them in bulk.
DHL.
I hate DHL.
Yep.
I have literally spent $100 more in shipping to
To
avoid
not.
DHL.
Oh goodness.
I DHL sucks.
Mm.
It's so bad. And like DHL doesn't even service my area. I live in rural PA. If anyone hasn't noticed this yet, I live in rural PA. We don't have DHL. There's
Mm.
no DHL for 150 plus miles in any direction
Do
at
y'all have
all.
the Mennonite carts to come drop off some packages to you?
Don't joke about that. Stuff like
Do they
that
have
happens.
that?
Mennonite and Amish, they don't work for the postal service, but like stuff goes down. So,
Yeah.
but yes, regardless. No, yeah, I just like I want to get this stuff ordered in and get it going, and yeah, I avoid DHL like the plague. I I can't remember anything else. Man,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, to the listeners, my brain is gone. But yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it there. I think
Yep,
this has
that
been
sounds
good.
good to me.
So, all right. So, everyone listening and watching to the YouTube, thank you. If you are listening on any of the major streaming platforms, please give us a like and review. I would love to see some reviews of this podcast, good or bad. Same way on the YouTube. Like,
Mm-hmm.
share, subscribe, comment. Um, we are also on the off chance we were to ever try to get canceled by anyone. I self-host this on. Yeah, no, it might get spicy one day. I self-host this podcast on Twisted Builds. So if you go to twistedbuilds.com, I self-host everything there, and it actually gets distributed from there. So
Mm-hmm.
it won't be silenced. So
Mm-hmm.
if we ever get into some more, fun topics, uh,
Hey, well, the person that I'm bringing on,
we'll
well,
be
there's some fun
listening.
topics to come along with that.
Yes. So, and we may I have some ideas for future ones. I just haven't had time to write anything down yet. So, if on the off chance, something were to happen and you still want to listen to the podcast, go to twistedbuilds.com
Mhm.
and
Definitely
there's an
check
embedded
out the
player.
site for some merch and any of the
Merch.
other the
Yes.
products that we offer. Yeah.
And we're going to be working on some more merch. I don't know if we talked about that before the podcast or during it, but we're going to be bringing some more merch. I've got coffee cups and shirts, and like I'm wearing a Twistable shirt, and hats
Mhm.
and beanies and stuff like that. I do plan on bringing out some more shirts with some fun automotive related like sayings on them. So that should be coming. I've also been in talks with I haven't even talked to you about this yet. I've been in talks with a graphic designer, so we
Okay.
can up some game on some stuff, and definitely like shirts and stuff is my idea.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, so lots of irons in the fire, lots of stuff going on. Just
Yeah.
subscribe and stay tuned because you'll never know what we're gonna do next.
Yeah.
So, but all right, hey, thanks everyone for listening and have a good one, and bye.
Yeah. All right. Bye.